Welcome to the Nikki Clarke Show, where we share inspiring stories, powerful conversations, and transformational journeys that uplift, heal, and empower. And I'm your host, Dr. Nikki Clarke, and I am so excited to be back with another stellar guest. Today's guest is Tiffany Lauren, a writer, advocate, and storyteller whose work speaks deeply to healing, resilience, emotional growth, and reclaiming one's voice after life's most difficult experiences. And through her personal journey and heartfelt writing, Tiffany has inspired many people navigating toxic relationships, emotional pain, co parenting challenges, and the path towards self discovery and healing. And her books and message remind us that even in our darkest moments, hope, healing, and transformation are possible. Please join me in welcoming Tiffany Lauren. How are you doing tonight, Tiffany?
Hi, Nikki. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for letting me join your show tonight.
Awesome. Well, it's an honor to have you. And I would love for the viewers to get to know your story, your journey. So, can you share a little bit about yourself and what inspired your journey as a writer?
So, I'm originally from Long Island, New York. I was born and raised there. I recently moved to Maryland and I'm loving it here as well. This is where I started my book, but I have been writing and doing poetry since I was a little girl.
Amazing.
So, this is something I'm just really excited about to have finally published something since I've
Yeah.
been writing for years, for decades. And what really inspired me was just the situation I had went through. I was in a 10-year relationship and it was very toxic. It started with the love bombing. Everything happened so fast. I thought it was a fairy tale, and just slowly it turned completely opposite. And I know that that's something that happens to others as well. And I decided to write it all down and share it with the world, with other women.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You speak openly about, your emotional healing and overcoming toxic relationships, but what was the turning point for you personally?
The turning point, I would say accepting that that wasn't my forever, that, the fairy tale wasn't real. And really just accepting that I had to walk away from it. It was very difficult to do that, especially he was the father of my two children. And as any, mother, you want to stay with that person. You want your children to, to be in the same home as the mother and father. So it was very difficult to walk away.
Yeah, I can just imagine. How did writing become part of your healing journey?
Writing has, as I mentioned, I've been writing for quite some time, and it really just became therapeutic and just my main outlet to release my stress.
Awesome. Many people lose themselves in unhealthy situations. Happens all the time. The
Mm.
best of us. What would you say to someone struggling to rediscover who they are?
So I think, with my experience, you have to stop second guessing and you have to really go with your gut.
Hmm.
A lot of us in these situations, we start to lose our judgment,
Yes.
and you're blinded by the love. And so creating boundaries and really asking yourself things like, am I happy? Is this the right thing for me?
Hmm.
I think
Yeah.
that's where you need to start for
Where you
sure.
need to start. Absolutely. Your memoir carries such emotional depth. What message do you hope readers take away from it?
So I mean, if they're co-parenting, I know that they may not necessarily be free from that person, but you want to be free of their control.
Mm,
And that's really the message that I want to get through with my book, Never Free from a Narcissist,
mhm.
is that, you may have to, like I said, co-parent with these people and it may be difficult, but if you can get free from their control, that's when you start healing.
Yeah. Can you describe what it was like for you to, free yourself from the control? What was it that happened that you decided, okay, I'm releasing myself?
I started to really see the red flags. I was already isolated from my friends and family.
Hmm.
And so I felt alone and I felt stuck. And, aside from the emotional and verbal abuse, when the physical abuse had happened, that is when I put my foot down and I decided, this is for me. I know my children, they love their father and they want to be with him, but I need to be okay myself. I need to be around for them for the rest of my life. And so you can't deal with that physical abuse, even the mental and verbal abuse that's gonna kill you internally. And you need to be there, especially when you have children.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You also wrote Two Houses, One Heart. And what
Yes.
inspired you to create a children's book around family transitions and co-parenting?
Yeah, so my book,
Ah, there
Two
it is.
Houses, One Heart,
Brilliant.
it's about my two children and it's it's for children that are living with co-parents. So they may have two houses and it may be confusing for them. And
Hmm.
so this book, you know, talks about the positive
Yeah.
of having two homes and two parents separated. So having two Christmases and two birthdays, things like that, is really what I wanted to focus on because I want children to really feel safe and loved at the end of the day.
Yes. So important. And let's expand a bit on that about emotional support for children.
Mm.
So important during major life changes. What were some of the supports you gave your children when you were coming out of the relationship?
I had to speak to them constantly and encourage them to speak their mind, express their feelings because children, they feel everything,
Yes.
but they may not always show it. And we don't, we can't take that for granted. We can't assume that they're okay. So you have to constantly check on them. And, I did put my older son in counseling for it a bit, but they're so closed off. It's hard. You have to be very consistent. And, other friends and family, relatives, all the support you can get for the children is the best. They need to feel seen and understood.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You often remind people that they are not alone. Why is that message so central to your mission?
I feel, as myself did, a lot of women suffer in silence and we get isolated.
Yes.
And, when you feel like you're alone, you feel trapped and you
Hmm.
may not leave that situation that you're in.
No,
So, to say you are not alone, I want women to know that there's others out there and we should all have our backs.
I agree. I agree. Why does rebuilding confidence after emotional pain, what does that look like in real life?
Confidence, well, I started writing, and I think that was a big part of my confidence. Publishing a book and just really getting my story out there made me more confident. Um, Also self-care. That's a big, big thing that helps me and I think would help other women. We, especially as parents, we tend to push our own stuff to the side.
Yeah.
And so self-care, even if it's a long shower or
Yes.
a bubble bath, you don't have to go get your nails and hair done all the time, but something self-care is for me boosts the confidence.
Hmm. Yeah, and a happy parent, happy children. It
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. How can women begin transforming pain into personal power, Tiffany?
So I always say pain taught me power, and that is how you can find me all over social media with that quote. And so I feel, heartbreak, it turn, you want to turn that heartbreak into wisdom, and you want to turn the betrayal into boundaries.
Yes, yes.
And then silence into a voice. And so that's what I've done with my pain. I've turned it into something great.
Amazing. And can you talk about, what healing looks like for you today?
So, as far as healing, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not fully healed, but I am working
Mhm.
towards it every day. I feel like it gets easier. It's not an overnight thing. And I think a lot of women feel sometimes like they're never going to heal, they're never going to get over it, but it does get easier. And the best advice would be to just try to let it go, let that person go, and feel at peace.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, are there any upcoming projects or other books or initiatives that you're excited about?
I do have another book in the making. It's a fiction novel,
Wow.
and it's called Red. And
Crazy, like the color?
yes, like the color. Um, and it has a similar theme to it, a toxic relationship. I don't want to give too much away, but it's very juicy and very encouraging for women and strength. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that out in 2027.
I love that. I love that. So, what legacy do you hope your writing and message will leave behind?
I would say there's always a greater purpose. The current boyfriend that I'm with, he always tells me that God has a reason for everything
Hmm.
and a plan. And even if we don't see it, we have to trust it. And so even if you feel like you're stuck in a situation right now, and you want to leave, but you're not sure, or you don't feel strong enough, there's always a purpose for why you're in the situation you're in, and why you're going through the pain and experiences you're going through. There's a bigger plan.
There's a bigger plan. For someone watching you right now who is just so inspired by your story and they want to write their journey, what would you tell them to do? How can they start?
I would just journal log every day. Anything in your mind, jot it down. That's what I did, and it turned into a book. I mean, the best way to get your feelings out is to speak to people or to write it down. It,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize how much better you feel if you write something down.
Absolutely. Keeping a record of your thoughts, and then you can go back to it and just say, wow, look at
Mhm.
what I was feeling this particular day, or look at the milestone that I had, and then
Right.
just
Yeah, and you can
because,
You can even go back and reread and be like, wow, I was really stuck there. I was really triggered. And, maybe that'll encourage you even more to keep going. And
yeah,
that's my experience on that.
yeah, for sure. And you look at it and you say, wow, I feel really victorious. I've grown so much from
Hmm.
that 6 months ago or a year ago, and look where I am now. So it's a really fantastic way to record all
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
emotional, physical achievements. So I would love to know, how can people purchase your books and where can they find you on social media, Tiffany?
I am on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. If you type in or search, I guess, Pain Taught Me Power, you will find me. And I have a link in all my social medias where you can click and purchase my book. It is on Amazon, but as soon as you click that link, it will bring you there. Um, Two Houses, One Heart is paperback, And the other ones you can buy in audio, you could do hardcover or paperback.
I love that. And how are your boys doing today?
They're great. They are very active. They're outside right now as we speak, playing football as usual. They are great. Their kids are resilient. Thank God for that.
Thank God for that. Well, I thank you for your resilience and your courage. I really appreciate your pearls of wisdom and what you shared with us today. And I know that many people will be changed from your story. So, Tiffany, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. And I hope that we can connect another time, maybe in another 6 months or a year, to just see what other
Absolutely.
projects you're up to. And definitely want to get a copy of Red. That sounds very
Yes.
intriguing.
Yes. There's a lot of intense moments in it. I can't wait to publish that one.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you so much. Tiffany Lauren, thank you so much for joining. And thank you, watchers, viewers, for tuning in and being a part of this conversation that matters. I appreciate you. And we'll see you next time with another amazing transformational story. So stay informed, stay transformed, and we'll see you next time. God bless. Bye for now.